DC101, Mike Jones here, and tonight we have Monday Night Raw, the last Raw before WrestleMania at Capital One Arena. Tomorrow it's SmackDown in Baltimore at Royal Farms Arena. WWE superstar Drew McIntyre. Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm doing great this morning. Should I address you as Drew, the Scottish psychopath? Which one do we go with?
I think Drew's fine.
Okay.
I didn't actually call myself the Scottish psychopath. They call me that. Apparently I get a little intense in the ring.
Who came up with that nickname anyway?
I've honestly no idea. They just started calling me in commentary. I preferred the Scottish Terminator. You know, I'm cold, I'm calculated, I terminate my opponents, and then suddenly I was just getting called the psychopath because apparently I was acting a little psychotic.
Okay, well, either way, we know you're Scottish, we know you're intense in the ring, and we're going to have a good time with you today, Drew, tonight at Raw, and tomorrow at SmackDown and WrestleMania this weekend. So let's start with this past weekend. Some pretty scathing words that you put out there on social media saying that you're seeing lazy complacency in the locker room. Do you want to talk about that? Like, I don't want to call out anyone by name, but like, what are you seeing back there that made you say that?
Well, I mean, obviously, Monday Night Raw is the #1 show in the world. We have the top talent in the world, but also there's room for improvement, and that's where I come along, and that's, we know I was in NXT. I was wondering what I could possibly add to Raw or SmackDown. I finally figured it out. You know, during my first run, I became complacent. I wasn't fulfilling my potential. I was with the company for 8 years. I got released. I realized, oh, wow, I took my opportunity for granted. And I really got some perspective. I worked harder than anyone in the world. I got in the gym, got in shape. I traveled all over the place. I got better in the ring. I got better at verbalizing myself. I really improved my game. And I came back, you know, a man after leaving a boy. And I thought, wait, that's the difference I can make. People that remind me of the younger version of myself who did not deserve to be part of WWE, the #1 company in the world, I'm going to eradicate and I'm going to call them out. And I see it across the board. I see people just complaining on social media. I hear them complaining backstage, and then I don't see them doing anything to better themselves or better their position, or if anything, they get in worse shape, and then they don't have a particularly spectacular match. So why are you going to put them in a better position? And I'm here to say, like, hey, if you don't like it, then maybe try it my way. You can leave the company, you can quit, you can go try it the way I tried it, because I assure you it's not very easy. There's only a couple of us, like me and Cody Rhodes, who have really, you know, went out there and really done something out with the company, and you can do it. It is there, but it is very hard work, and I don't recommend it. And you're in WWE now, so why not figure it out now and give it 110% now instead of just complaining? It's
like you guys are given a golden ring to grab for, a brass ring to go for, and some people can just let it go by the wayside.
Yeah, and I understand. I've been there. It doesn't mean I like it, but I do get it. You're in the bubble. You forget you're in WWE. You're in the #1 company in the world. You forget the opportunity that's in front of you, and I've been through it myself, but also I got perspective by getting fired. So maybe we need some of that just to wake people up, and the ones who deserve it will come back.
And like, we were just talking before we started rolling on the interview here about what you're going to do after this. You're going to go to the gym. You're going to make sure you're doing the right things. I can see how you, with your schedule, you guys are going all over everywhere every single day, that maybe you don't go to the gym some days, and that adds to 2 days and 3 days, and people can skip that stuff and forget about, hey, I got to look my best with thousands of people every night looking at me.
Yeah, you don't deserve to be in WWE if you don't figure it out. Like, that's your job. You're 24/7. You're on the road. We wrestle, 4 days a week. We're constantly traveling. If we get the opportunity to do things like this, I traveled 4 hours last night. I got in 1, 2 in the morning. I'm up at 6 a.m. Do the media. This is a great opportunity for me to represent the company. I'm very happy.
Well, I thank you for that, Drew.
No, I genuinely enjoy it, and this is what I want to do. I want to be representing the company, and I will find time for the gym afterwards. If I don't get to sleep, I don't get to sleep. I'll get the time in the gym because it's my job, and then I'll be at Raw live tonight. I'll give 110% after wrestling the past few nights because it's Monday Night Raw. It's 6 days till WrestleMania, and they'll get everything I've got because I know I've got the next day off. Then I can relax. Then I can take a day off the gym, and it all begins the next day.
Well, it's actually, you say that, but it's WrestleMania week, so there's really no days off this week.
No, I mean, I say I take a day off the gym. I'm still doing my DDPY yoga, keep rehabbing my body, stretching, making sure I'm in tip-top shape. There's always something going on related to this job. And my wife's the only one that can kind of take my mind off it when I'm actually home. But I do think about it 24/7. She's the only one that can switch me off for a couple hours.
Now, Drew, you said, it was a real wake-up call when a couple years ago, and it doesn't seem like that long ago, that you left WWE and really turned things around.
4 years.
It was see, and that's not really that long, but it's a completely different Drew McIntyre now. Have you ever, again, I don't want to name names, have you ever said to someone privately backstage, maybe someone you're close to, maybe someone that's coming up, hey, maybe you're doing the wrong things here, perhaps you want to try something different?
Yeah,
like, have you addressed that personally?
Yeah, I've given advice where I feel like it was not needed to be given. You know, generally, if people come to me and ask, you know, my opinion on things, I have been around a long time. I was with WWE 12 years ago. I did grow up on the road with the Undertakers, the Edges, the Rey Mysterios, the Christians. I was literally on the same roster as Ric Flair when I first came to America. So I've seen a lot of things, and you know, there's the experience. I'm 33. Everyone thinks I'm like 40 because I've been around for so long.
Been around forever.
Yeah, so everyone thinks I'm a lot older than I am, but I have had all these experiences that have shaped the man I am today, and I have a lot to share. And if people want to ask questions, I'm always willing to give, you know, some advice. But generally, I won't seek out people unless I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, you know, give them a little food for thought, because I've been there and I've hurt my career, you know, intentionally and unintentionally at times when I was a kid. So I'm going to throw some advice out there. If they take it, it's up to them. If they don't, it's up to them. But generally, I won't unless I feel like, okay, this person needs a quick kick in the arse.
Do you think maybe if back in the day, if you had something like the Performance Center when you came to America, when you came to WWE, where you're with wrestling 24/7, they're making sure you're staying focused there, do you think that would have changed things for Drew McIntyre back then?
No. I'm very lucky. The way I came through in FCW and Florida Championship Wrestling, the Performance Center is unbelievable. There's nothing like it, and I got the chance to be around it while I was part of NXT, an NXT champion. There's nothing like it in the world, but in FCW, that was a great experience for me, and I got to work with Dr. Tom Pritchard, Steve Kern, Billy Kidman, Norman Smiley, and Dusty Rhodes, who really helped me get comfortable, you know, at talking and verbalizing myself. Because when I first came to America, if you think I've got an accent now, I had the thickest accent in the world. You would not understand a word I'm saying right now. I mumble naturally, you know, in the mic, and you know, in general, I can turn it on and turn it off. But back then, I couldn't, and Dusty Rhodes really helped me, you know, find myself. So I wouldn't trade anything I learned.
It's funny
for anything.
It's funny you say that, and that might not be something that we think of, but you know, your audience. I mean, I guess the number one focus is America, Canada, and then so many other English-speaking countries around the world. You got to be clear about that. You got to make sure.
Absolutely. And the Scottish accent is a very hard accent to understand.
It's a bit thick.
So much. You know, comments from people in my country. We have 5 million people in Scotland. That's it. Like, we have a crazy history, you know, a fantastic history. But 5 million people in Scotland. To put it in perspective, there's like 30 million people in London, the capital of England, and like 60 million in the whole of the UK. And you could fit the UK into Texas 4 times. So it's such a small place. But whenever I get a comment about my accent, like, why do you talk like that now? It's always from my own country giving me crap. It's because I need the world to understand me.
Like, I'm sorry, I have to talk to you and the people in Washington, D.C., and Baltimore, and New York, and California, and everywhere.
That's good. Enunciate.
Now, I want to talk about what's going on with Drew McIntyre now on the Monday Night Raw roster. But before that, Drew, your time in NXT, you were there for about a year or so before the injury happened?
Well, I want to say it was a year in total, including the injury.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a whirlwind. Coming in and becoming champion 4 months later and getting hurt all within a year. Do you feel like you left there with unfinished business, or were you good with your time in NXT? Because you did a lot in that short time. You really did. Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, satisfied. There's a couple of things I'd like to have finished off. NXT is where I wanted to be part of. You know, when I came back to the company, I was achieving a lot outside the company. I was really making a difference across the world, especially in the UK, where one particular company I returned, the biggest show was 1,500 people, and then the next one we had 2,000, the next one we had 4,000, then we had the biggest show in independent wrestling ever. It was 7,000 people, and I really, you know, was enjoying myself. I was creatively fulfilled, and it was a tough decision to decide to come back. And still, until I spoke to Triple H on the phone, you know, he'd been watching what I was doing, was very proud, and you know, made it clear, you know, it's time to come home. And we both decided NXT was the best place to start because of the hardcore fan base had been following my career outside the company. It was the best way to reintroduce myself. I got to be part of NXT, got to be a leader there, which I enjoyed more than anything. The opportunity to be NXT champion, and unfortunately, you know, it was cut short with the bicep tear. And when I lost the title, I would have never lost the title if my bicep didn't fall off during the match. And then, when it was time to come back, I got the nod. It's time to go back to Raw. You know, it's funny to me that NXT, I mean, you know, there's so many people now on Raw and SmackDown from NXT, but it still seems like the secret of WWE. Like, if you're not on board with NXT, you're missing fantastic wrestling and the next huge superstars. I mean, so many people down there doing great things. And there's, like I say, the Performance Center is nothing like it. But there's also so many like guys and girls down there. If you're on that 1 hour weekly show, you deserve it. And you're fighting for your spot there. And that was a great thing about NXT. Like, I was always excited to be champion because I was on last. And if you're on last on an NXT show, it's basically WrestleMania every night. Everyone's going out there trying to prove themselves every night because they want to be one of the few people who get to be on the TV shows and the traveling shows. And then if you get a chance to be on the takeover, you really want to put on a performance everyone's going to remember. So I thrived on the opportunity to be on last as somebody who doesn't flip around and do that kind of style. I was a bigger guy. I loved that. It allowed me to think outside the box and get really creative with things and try and get the crowd invested. And I really enjoyed my time in NXT. And yeah, it was good. But I do enjoy what's going on right now, to be honest.
Yeah, and last thing before we move on to Raw then, Drew, is that, seeing what we see every, an hour a week on NXT on WWE Network, like the matches are great. If you go to a live event, it's 10 times better than that because, like you said, the guys and girls there are just going all out and looking to prove something and be that next level superstar. Yeah,
100%. The crowd are, part of the roster there. And it's the same like our shows here as well. The crowd really deserve their own spot on the roster page because they make such a difference to the shows. And that's what we're talking about earlier. Like, sometimes in the Raw live events, if I notice some people are not giving it their 100%, that's where I'm like, all right, maybe this person doesn't necessarily deserve to be here. They're forgetting the opportunity they have because there are an army of people in NXT who are hungry, who have that fire in their eyes that a lot of people, fires have been extinguished. And they're waiting to take your spot. And again, if I have to be the guy to toss your ass out the door, then I'll do it.
And, just looking at what always happens right after WrestleMania, which is coming up this weekend, there's always some new people, new faces and everything. So Drew McIntyre's got to make sure he stays on top of his game, too. You got to be ready for those folks.
I bring on the challenge. I am not remotely concerned. Like I say, I've spent a lifetime preparing for the position I'm in now. There's not any situation I've probably not been involved in throughout my career. I've been with the company, grown up in the company. This is where my whole 20s were spent. And then I got to go away and apply everything I learned and learn so many different lessons. Became a franchise player, became somebody who made a difference, and returned a man and returned ready for the responsibility I've been given. And there's no bigger responsibility than fighting Roman Reigns at WrestleMania after coming back from illness.
Did you feel like a new person, a new man, when you walked out there for your second WWE debut on Raw? When that happened, it was... almost a year ago now, right?
Yep, 2 weeks after WrestleMania last year.
Yeah, it wasn't that right after show, but it was the next one. It was like, oh my God, it's Drew McIntyre. Like, what was that feeling like for you?
It was great. I was just hoping they knew who I was. They started chatting.
I think people knew who you
chatting
were.
McIntyre. Drew. I was like, oh, good, they know who I am. So I looked like Drew McIntyre's eating the old Drew McIntyre and then grew a beard and chest hair. So it was a great feeling. And the difference was just how comfortable I was. Like, it just felt like it was meant to be. Like in the past, I was so tense, especially on TV tapings. It was almost like I was a robot, and it's hard for people to get into somebody who's clearly tense and not in the moment. So if you're in the moment and you're relaxed, then the crowd get to be in the moment, and they're with you, and they can tell just by looking in your eyes. If you look at my eyes during my first run, I've got like a terrified expression half the time during the headlights, and this time if you look at my eyes, it's laser focus every time because I'm in the moment 100% of the time.
So like when your music hits, when those bagpipes start, it's like go time, let's do this.
That was a mistake giving me that music. So it's like bagpipe war music. I'm like Braveheart when I get out there and start beating the crap out of everybody.
Tonight it's you, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin. You're going to be going against Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns at Capital One Arena for the final Raw before WrestleMania. And you can still get tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Plus, you can get tickets for SmackDown as well tomorrow in Baltimore. I mean, there's a lot of great things going on both shows, Drew. How ready are you for WrestleMania? Like, are you just so pumped inside? You're like, let's go, let's do it?
Yeah, I've been ready for this moment for, I'd say, at least 3 years. The image that I had in my head out with the company, then when I figured, I think I'm going to find my way back to the company, it might be the route I'm going. I remember telling my wife, I feel like this is the route I'm going. The image I had in my head was always standing in front of Roman Reigns, the number one guy. So that's where I'm going to be one day. Last week we stood eye to eye. You could feel the crowd rumbling.
Oh, it was electric.
And I was like, this is the image I had in my head for years, and I'm living it right now. So yeah, I couldn't be more fired up and appreciative of the opportunity. And I did suggest Roman didn't take the challenge. I didn't recommend fighting Drew McIntyre right now. I'm on a bit of a roll, but he's going to bring his A game and I'll be bringing my A+ game.
Which I didn't understand. I'm like, why would you want to have your match at WrestleMania? You're doing right by the guy and his family, but
I'm trying to be a nice guy. Everyone thinks I'm this crazy psychopath. I'm just a lovely chap. But if you push me, I'm going to drop you.
I mean, it has to be something you think about that Roman Reigns has headlined 4 WrestleManias now.
Yes.
You're going in there with a guy that has main event big time, huge spotlight experience. I mean, is this your first WrestleMania singles match?
It's the first Mania singles match.
That's got to be weighing kind of heavy on you. I know you've got the confidence and the anxiety's gone from years ago, but that's got to weigh pretty heavy in your mind right now.
No, not at all. Oh. I just feel like I got the butterflies, I get the nerves. The day that stops is the day I retire, but I just feel beyond ready. And with someone like Roman, who, like you say, is used to that big stage, is just a phenomenal performer, so physical like myself, I know we're bringing something that no one else will be able to compete with because we're just two big physical guys.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's going to be many wrestling moves in this one. I feel like there might be a lot of punches.
Well, it's going to be a war. Yeah. It's going to be great.
How long have you been planning your entrance for? Nobody's going to tell me anything, so that's fine. I get it. But how long have you been planning this entrance? Have you had it in your mind forever?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the entrances I have in my head, I don't know if the company's going to go along with, but I have some big spectacular things going on in my head. So we'll see on the day.
Okay, all right.
But I've got some grandiose ideas.
But for Sunday, though, for WrestleMania on Sunday, you've got your outfit done. You're ready to go for that?
Yeah, kind of. Ask me again in a couple of days.
Okay, all right.
Let's see if I'm completely happy with it.
Yeah, I talked to Nia Jax a couple weeks ago. She wouldn't give me anything, but she said she's been thinking about this for years now. So I think that's one of the best parts of WrestleMania, the entrances and just the spectacle of it all. I mean,
I got to think more about that stuff. I'm so focused on the in-ring. Like, that's like my strongest suit that I forget about the presentation, but I've got a few things going on.
Stop. You know you're thinking about something.
Oh, no, I'm just waiting to actually see it with my own eyes to see if I'm happy with it.
Okay.
So ask me in a couple of days. Ask me after Mania and I'll tell you if I was happy with it.
Have you ever had one of those big matches and like you're waiting on like some gear or something? It's like real last minute. You're getting nervous. Has that ever happened to you about that?
Not with gear, but entrance-wise, I've been a little nervous. Like at TakeOver when I won the NXT title, we had the New York, God, I don't want to mess up their name.
Was it the fire department band?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's a song, a famous like Irish song, and I think they referenced them in it. And I can't remember their name right now, but the pipe band. Anyway, we're playing like the bagpipes and had the drums there for my entrance, and that, you know, was like probably my favorite entrance, but I was a little bit nervous about it as well, so I didn't want to mess it up. But then when I was walking out there to the ring and we're doing it live and I saw the pipers there and stuff, I was just amped out of my mind, and poor Bobby Roode got chopped to death.
His chest is still raw from that night.
Yes, it is.
Well, besides what you have going on, Drew, with the guys in the Shield, what other stories, what other feuds are you really enjoying that you're seeing right now in WWE? Raw, SmackDown, NXT, any of them?
Oh, just all across the board. Everyone's bringing their A, like I say, not just their A game, their A plus game. And the girls have been absolutely killing it. Like, it's unbelievable. I remember a time, as I say, I've been around for 12 years and with WWE for years in America, and I saw like how little time the girls used to get, how little opportunity they used to get. And it used to be a case of you would want to be after the girls' match because the crowd would come down a bit, and then they'd be ready to see like a proper match again because they weren't given a proper opportunity to highlight themselves. These days, you don't want to be after the girls because they're going to go out there, the crowd are going to go insane, and they're going to steal it in the ring, and then afterwards they're going to be like, oh, well, we're kind of tired now for your match because the girls just blew the roof off.
I got to run and get a Coke or something.
Yeah, all the stuff going on now with Ronda and Becky and Charlotte is just really next level stuff, and I'm excited about that. I'm obviously excited to see the result of Seth and Brock because inevitably I have my eyes on that Universal title, and Vince did predict I'm a future world champion when I was 23. He didn't say when, but I got to fulfill that destiny eventually and become the first British champion ever.
There hasn't been a British champion yet?
Never. Everyone says that. Yeah, never. Not one time.
Really? I didn't know that.
No British Bulldog, no William Regal, no Wade Barrett.
Huh. All right. Well, maybe.
Piper's not necessarily Scottish, but
he never
won the title.
No.
Yeah, so
wow.
First ever British champion is the goal.
All right. Well, one day, Drew McIntyre, the prophecy will be fulfilled.
Yes, it will.
Absolutely. So what do you guys have going on for this week? Like leading up to WrestleMania, what's the schedule going to look like for you? I know you got Access and all kinds of other
Access
stuff.
will be wild if everyone's got the opportunity to be in the New York, New Jersey area. I recommend coming along because if I, was still, I'm still a fan, obviously, but if I wasn't with the company, I would be at Access every day, checking out all the stalls. And to be honest, I do try and walk around with a hoodie on because there's just so much to see and so much to do. And I want to commentate in all the older matches I used to love, and I want to have a good time and then interact with all the different, memorabilia they have there because it's so cool. So if you're in the area, and if you're not in the area, fly to the area because even if you're not able to get a ticket for Mania, get yourself to Access because it is worth the trip.
Well, they also do it like Royal Rumble. They do it for all the big shows now, which is really really awesome that they have that experience for everyone. How are you going to walk around with a hoodie on and be incognito? How is that happening?
I just blend in. I'm the best 6'5", 265-pound ninja there is.
All right, Drew. Last thing I want to ask you: you've got your match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania on Sunday, and you said the eye's going to be on the Universal title after that. Money in the Bank's coming soon. I mean, are you trying to get in on that? Do you see yourself in a ladder match situation in a couple weeks afterwards?
Really not much of a ladder match guy. My first ever WrestleMania, I was Intercontinental Champion in the Money in the Bank match, and I remember one of the worst feeling things I've ever had. I was on the ladder at one point reaching for the title, and Matt Hardy pushed the ladder and I stepped off the ladder. And if you remember back in the day, like Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels would have these ladder matches, and when the ladder got pushed, they almost glided gracefully onto the top rope and they crotched themselves. I assumed I was going to glide gracefully as I stepped off the ladder.
I'll fly, I've got wings.
Yeah, so just like Razor Ramon, he was a big guy, he was bigger than me. I'm going to glide just like him. I stepped off and violently plummeted crotch first on the top rope, and it vaulted me out the ring, and it was the most painful thing I've ever felt in my life. So ladders and I do not get along, but I've got an idea. Maybe I should win the Money in the Bank, then I'll win the Universal title, but not cashing in. I'll just win it, and then I'll have both. So if anyone ever beats me, I'll just cash back in and win it back.
Wow. I've never even thought about a strategy like that.
Yeah, you just put it in my head, so I'm glad I thought of it.
Drew McIntyre's the guy with all the answers. Well, Drew, so excited about Raw tonight to see what's going on. Final Raw before WrestleMania. You know everybody's going to be there, just like SmackDown tomorrow in Baltimore. So you can get tickets for tonight in D.C., tomorrow in Baltimore at Ticketmaster.com, WrestleMania on Sunday. We'll all watch it on the WWE Network, and I'm 80,000 people there. I mean, dude. 83,000. This even bigger than the last time in New York. Dude, you're going to have an incredible match with Roman Reigns. I can't wait to see it, Drew. Thank you so much, man. This has been fun.
No, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. Now we got to get to the gym.